after stillness becomes safe, after effort loses tension, after connection no longer carries need, something even subtler begins to reveal itself. The center, not personality, not memory, not the sense of being here. The center as the quiet assumption that there is a single point inside you from which life is organized. A me behind experience, a narrator, a manager, a reference point. For most of our lives, that center felt obvious. Of course there's someone here. Of course experience is happening to me. Of course thoughts are mine, choices are mine. Life is unfolding around a core. That assumption is rarely questioned. It doesn't need to be taught. It's implied everywhere. And even as awareness deepens, the center often remains. We become more conscious but still centered. More present, but still organized around a someone who is present. I noticed this shift not as a realization, but as a soft disorientation. Things were happening, sounds, sensations, actions, words, but there was no clear place they were happening from. Not in a frightening way, in a quiet, ordinary way. Living without a center doesn't feel like disappearing. It feels like decentralization. Experience continues. Function continues. Memory continues. But the sense of a central controller fades. You're not watching life from behind your eyes. Life is simply happening. This can be difficult to describe because language assumes a center. I see. I think. I decide. Those phrases still work practically, but they're no longer taken literally. Seeing happens. Thinking happens. Decisions happen. There's no need to locate an owner. Living without a center doesn't feel special. It feels ordinary, which is why it's often overlooked. There's no dramatic moment where the self collapses. No fireworks. Just a growing irrelevance of the question, who is this happening to? That question stops arising. Not because it was answered, because it no longer matters. This doesn't make you passive. In fact, responsiveness sharpens. Without a center filtering experience, there's less delay, less self-referencing. You don't ask, what does this mean for me? Before responding. Response arises directly from what's happening. This can feel oddly efficient, cleaner. You're not routing everything through an internal authority. Life moves. You move with it. Living without a center also changes how thoughts are experienced. Thoughts still arise, but they're not gathered into a story. They don't stack. They don't form a narrative arc about who you are or where you're going. The thought appears, passes, another appears. There's no accumulation. Before, thoughts gathered around a center. They reinforced identity. They created continuity. Now, continuity exists without narrative. Memory functions, but it doesn't define a self. You remember what's needed. You forget what isn't. There's no need to assemble a character from recollection. This often brings relief. So much effort went into maintaining coherence, making sense of yourself, explaining why you did what you did. Without a center, there's nothing to defend, nothing to justify. Living without a center also changes how emotions are experienced. Before, emotion belonged to you. My sadness, my joy, my anxiety. Now, emotion is simply part of the field. Sadness arises. Joy arises. Anxiety arises. They don't gather around a core. They don't threaten identity. They pass more freely because there's nothing holding them. Emotion without ownership is lighter, not weaker, unburdened. This doesn't mean emotion is ignored. It's felt fully. But it doesn't define anything. It doesn't say who you are. It doesn't require explanation. Living without a center also affects how you relate to your body. Before, the body felt like something you had. Something you controlled or monitored. Now, the body feels like part of what's happening. Movement happens. Adjustment happens. Speech happens. You're not issuing commands. You're not supervising. The body responds to the environment with intelligence. This intelligence isn't personal. It's biological, situational, immediate, and it works. Living without a center can feel unsettling if you expect grounding to come from a sense of self. but grounding shifts. It no longer comes from identity, it comes from contact. You're grounded in sensation, in sound, in movement, in what's actually here. There's no need for an internal anchor. The world itself provides orientation. This stage often dissolves the sense of being inside experience. There's no inside and outside. There's just happening. You don't feel merged with the world. You feel part of it. And that part doesn't need a name. Living without a center also changes how responsibility is felt. Before, responsibility rested on you. You carried it internally. Now, responsibility is situational. Something needs attention, attention happens. Something requires response, response happens. There's no burden of authorship. You don't carry responsibility when it's not required. You don't anticipate it. You respond when it appears. This reduces a deep, chronic pressure many people don't realize they're carrying. The pressure of being the one who must manage everything. Without a center, management dissolves. Coordination remains. This stage can feel freeing and strangely intimate at the same time. Freeing because you're not carrying yourself. Intimate because there's no distance. You're not observing life. You're in it. Living without a center also changes how you experience failure and success. Before, these were personal. Success affirmed the self. Failure threatened it. Now, success and failure are events. Things work. Things don't. Adjustments happen. There's no internal verdict. No self-image to protect or repair. This doesn't make you careless. It makes you resilient. You're not defending an identity. You're responding to reality. Living without a center also softens how you relate to death. Not conceptually, experientially. The fear of annihilation is often tied to the idea of a central self. If there's no center, nothing needs to be protected. Life ends because it ends, not because a self fails to persist. This doesn't make life meaningless. It makes it precious, not because it belongs to you, because it's happening at all. This stage often brings a quiet compassion, not because you feel more loving, because separation feels thinner. Others are no longer over there. They're part of the same field of experience. Suffering isn't personal. Care arises naturally, not from obligation, from proximity. Living without a center doesn't mean you stop using I. Language still works. Function continues. You still say, I think, I'll be there, I need to rest. Those phrases are practical. They're no longer metaphysical. You don't confuse language with reality. You don't need to correct speech. You don't need to explain this to anyone. It's not a belief. It's an absence. The absence of something that used to feel essential. And nothing bad happens when it's gone. Life continues. More smoothly, in fact. Season 3 is about life lived from what remains after the inner architecture quiets. Presence remains. Action remains. Choice remains. Expression remains. Effort remains. Connection remains. Boundaries remain. Stillness remains. But the center, the internal me holding it all together, is no longer needed. Nothing fell apart without it. Things became simpler, more direct, more alive. If you've noticed yourself less preoccupied with yourself, if experience feels less personal without feeling distant, if life feels closer without needing a narrator, you're not disappearing. You're discovering that life never needed a center to happen. And if this reflection met something real in you, liking the video helps it reach others who may be noticing the same quiet decentralization without having words for it. If someone came to mind while listening, sharing it may help them feel less alone in this shift. You're welcome to subscribe if you'd like to continue through this season. Not to lose yourself, but to see how life unfolds when there's no one at the center trying to hold it together, unfinished and happening.